Hi guys, coming back here at the Battler workshop. Well, it's been a pretty trying 24 hours, I guess, trying to do one operation, one machining operation, and one machining operation only. And that is, we're trying to cut this what seems to be a very, very simple slot in this gib. And for me, it was anything but. I've done slitting in the past, but never with blades this thin. This is a 30-second thick. It's very flimsy, no rigidity, and look, they'll shatter and fly apart at the nearest hiccup in that machining operation. And I've got bits all over the place. When they did happen, they left teeth embedded inside the slot. And in one particular case, it was fairly deep. It was 8mm deep. And on two occasions that happened. On two occasions it's taken me nearly 3 hours to try and pick those teeth out. I did try at one stage there to try and use this particular slitter to try and get them to flick out coming in the other way, but it didn't work. It just blunted it out and wasn't going anywhere. So and the feeling I had at the time was absolute frustration. I was pretty exhausted and pretty fatigued at the time. And pretty down about the whole thing as well. And when these things start creeping into your mindset, this is what happens. You end up having accidents. And look, I was very lucky. I got a fairly deep laceration across the top of my knuckle there. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been halfway through a finger, or worse still, it could have been right through my wrist. And that's what this little short video is about, is looking at those error traps that I've set up for myself and not recognising when things were going wrong, things were going pear-shaped, and stopping what I was doing and having another rethink about it and coming at it with a fresh set of eyes, rather than just trying to keep ploughing through and end up where I was. Sit back, have a look at what I've gone through, and you can see for yourself the build-up that actually led to that happening. I've had a look at all the takes myself, and you know, I'm blind Freddy and I can see it coming. I can see something is going to happen, and it certainly has. So take it as a learning for yourselves, because things do happen in our home workshops. They happen in industry. They also happen in our home workshops, where we can get just as badly hurt here as what we can out there. So, and sometimes it just needs you to sit back and recognise when you're in a state of mind that you're not comfortable. Maybe that's time to stop and have another rethink about a different type of machining operation, different type of setup, different type of methodology. You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and hoping for the same result. Well, I was certainly certainly in that frame of mind at some stages through this job. So, as I said, sit back, have a look at it, and take it for what it is, and try and take some learnings away from it for yourselves. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next episode. All right, guys, we're going to set up to start doing the slitting of this slideway, this dovetail, to set up a gib so that we can apply the tension onto that slide plate. One thing before we do start, I'm going to be using a 1/32 slitting saw, which is around about, by the book, 0.79 of a millimetre thick. But one thing you may not know about slitting saws, and that is that they're actually ground thicker at the teeth, and they thin off into the middle where the arbor is to give that clearance, so they're not actually rubbing whilst they're cutting. So if you put a mic on it, that's measuring up at about 0.81 of a mil, and if you come into the middle there, the further you come in, the thinner it's going to get. So there it's measuring 0.1 of a mil thinner. So they're actually ground with a concave, thicker on the outside and then moving thinner into the middle. You can actually see the grind marks that they've used in that process. And if you ever snap one of these off, don't throw them out, because if you've ever got any very thin grooves to cut in your lathe, these are absolutely ideal. You can regrind them up, and they've already got the clearance already pre-ground to stop them rubbing against the side of the groove while you're cutting it in. So yeah, they're great for that purpose. I have got one, but I can't find it right now that I had modified for doing that. And I think for memory to drill through this, I think I used a masonry, yeah, it was a masonry carbide bit that I sharpened up on my diamond wheel, and was able to drill through and pop a couple of holes into that. So nice trick if you ever want to drill high-speed steel or very, very hard materials. You can go down to your local hardware store and buy yourself a cheap masonry drill and dress it up, and it will drill through high-speed steel. And I've had no issues doing that sort of thing in the past. Alright guys, well we'll get this set up onto its arbor and we'll get it ready for slitting. Alright guys, we're going to set up this now for slitting through. We've already got it set up, so I've come down a set height from touching off at the top. With the underside of the slitting saw, I've come down 14.6 millimeters, and we're going to go a depth of 13.5. That just takes us a whisker below the finish of that dovetail. So I'm going to do it in 2 runs, and we'll see how we go. Alright, we'll make a very, very slow start to this and just feel it as it goes. Like with all slitting saws, this one has a very, very tiny woof in it of around about 0.1 of a mil, so I've allowed for that when I've actually come down. So we'll cut it slightly wider. Alright guys, unfortunately I didn't have the camera rolling when I started doing this slit. I had it set on camera mode unfortunately, so we missed out on what's happened. So what I've done in the slit here, I was coming in this direction and I've snapped off some teeth, and those teeth are now embedded inside that slit. And I've had a bit of a poke at them, and they're in there fairly tight, which is an absolute pain. So what I'm going to do, and the reason for that was I was pretty aggressive with the feed on this, I think. A bit too carried away. I'm going to come in from the other direction, and hopefully as I'm cutting into those broken off teeth, I can pick them out very, very gently. I'm going to keep using this slitting saw. I don't know if you can see there, but it's lost probably half a dozen teeth. It hasn't cracked at all. I've just lost teeth, so I'm just going to take it very, very easy and just see if I can come in just to pick out the remnants of those teeth. And I do have another slitting saw that I'll replace that one with, but I'd rather just try and, if I'm going to damage anything, I'd rather damage this one that I've already damaged. So probably just as well that the camera was off, because you wouldn't have liked what came out of my mouth here at the Battler workshop. Alright, let's have another go at this. Wondering why that was so far off. So what it's actually done is it's actually kicked my part around away from the tenon, so I'll just get that set up again and then I'll come back onto it. Alright, we're coming up to this danger zone spot. I'm just going to feel it out. I may go a little bit deeper to make sure I get right underneath that those broken teeth. I'll just see how this feels first, and I may back off. I can feel it there now. I'm going to go a little bit deeper on that slit, try and pick up where I've snapped off there and try and pick them out. We'll bring you back again when we're getting a little bit closer to that danger zone. Right, just a couple of millimetres to go. There it is. Alright, well, I'm going to keep going with that. Just to see how that goes. Just look at the teeth. Yeah, you can see they're getting blunted out. I might just have to be a bit aggressive with this and right, well I reckon I might be in a bit of strife here trying to get this out. So what I'm going to do is set up my Dremel. So I'm going to break the setup, just sit down nice and peacefully and quietly and just run a Dremel blade up in that spot there and see if I can't cut the thing out. But it's going to take a bit of time, so I'm going to go away and get that set up and have a go, and we'll let you know how it pans out. Righto guys, I've didn't go on with the Dremel wheel. It wasn't going to fit in there. It's just going to make a butcher's job of trying to grind those teeth out. So what I've ended up doing, I've spent, gosh, it's getting dark now, it's been just over 3 hours. I had one of these old cheapo files you get from the $2 shops that I ground down, and I ground a chisel point onto it so I could get down fairly deep with a soft hammer and just very, very gently keep working underneath the tooth. And there's about 6 teeth that I had in there that were all embedded. So the idea was, once I loosen it up, I could bring it around to the other side and do the same thing. I don't know if any of you guys have used these before, but these are dental picks, and these are fantastic for doing those real awkward little jobs. You can get right down inside there quite deep. And when it started to get loosened up, it was just a matter of picking away at that. I also had a little jeweler's screwdriver that I've ground down one face flat to also to be able to work in and work those out. And some of them were quite deep. I had to get in there with that little chisel point. And that's the other one that I've been using as well. So 4 or 5 little tools just working in unison with each other and just very gently working it and working it and working it. And I think I've got all of the broken teeth out of there now. Well, I hope I have anyway, because it's been pretty frustrating. But I think I'm through the worst of it now. As I think I've got all of those little broken tooth sections out of there now. All the ones that came out had the points on them, so touch wood, somewhere I've got it out. And look, it's important when you do make a mistake like this, and we all make mistakes, is not to throw your hands up in the air and start going off and blasting into it. Sometimes it's better go inside, have a cuppa, have a sit down, have a bit of a think, calm yourself down and start getting a plan of action together. And I call it dominoing. So I have plan A, B, C, D all worked out as to what I'm going to do if this one falls over, what I'm going to go to next. And those plans do change as you're working through this. You'll see an action that's happening, and you'll make modifications to suit. But it's important not to go to bull at a gate. Just calm yourself down, think through the situation, and then start executing it. So as I said, this has taken me, it's nearly 3 hours it's taken me now. But I think I'm there without making too much of a mess of this, and that'll polish up quite well anyway. So, alright, well I'm going to go ahead, and then I'm going to have some tea first, because I'm starving. Everyone's had their tea and I've kept going at this. I'm going to go and have some tea first, and I'm going to come out and set this up, and I may have another go at this tomorrow. And I just hope I haven't left anything embedded in there. We'll soon find out though. Alright guys, we'll see you soon. Righto, so we've had some tea. Well, it's tuna bake. Don't really like tuna bake, but the kids do. And I've had a cup of tea and a bit of a rest, so it's getting pretty late now. I want to try and get this in a position where I can sleep tonight, and I know that I've got it licked. So we're about to hit the nasty bit now, and we'll see how we go. Righto guys, I'm happy with that. That doesn't feel like it's hit any teeth, so I think I've got them all out. I think there were 5, 6 teeth altogether that actually broke off that slitter. So that's it there. And I picked out 5 teeth, but I think one of the other ones might have already flicked out, so I haven't hit it. So we've dodged a bullet. Although it's taken us a fair bit of time to do that. Right, I'm going to carry on and just finish that slit through, and I'll bring you back when we're getting towards the depth, which is 13.5 millimeters. And I will slit tonight. Alright guys, I'll catch you in a minute. Well, I've got to tell you guys, I hate this slitting. It's just shattered. Absolutely shattered to pieces. Oh dear me. There's pieces all over the floor. I'm going to have to look and see what's snapped off inside here. I can guarantee there's going to be teeth down in there. So what I'm going to probably have to do, I'll have a look and see what we've got left in the way of teeth. In there is go in there with a slightly thicker slitting saw. And try that again. Oh dear me. It certainly went off with a bang. Hint to you blokes, make sure you're always wearing your safety glasses, because you never know when this sort of thing is going to happen. Alright, I'm going to take this out of the setup and yeah, just see what the damage is. Alright guys, we'll carry this on tomorrow. I think I'm getting a bit sick of it at the moment. Alright, we'll see you then. Alright guys, it's nearly 11 o'clock, so I've been at this since about 9 o'clock. I finally got all the pieces out of here. I even busted off one of the tips off my little tools inside. That took a bit to get out, so I had to regrind another one. So I got 3 bits of teeth out of there that were embedded down inside. They're about 10 millimeters, so they were fairly deep. My backup plan was, if I couldn't get them out because the slot was too thin, was to open that slot up a little bit wider so I could get a bit more of a rigid tool inside there to try and start getting those bits out. But I pulled this one out of my set, and it's a Dormer, great brand, 5/64, which is around about 2 mil. But if we have a look over the back, it's actually been ground down thinner, so I can't go any further than what that grind mark is, and I need to go down about 13.5, 14 millimeters. So that was a bit disappointing. It was sitting in the packet like that, and I thought that was going to be perfect, but not to be. I do have another 1/32 cutter. It's a much coarser tooth set on that. And I'm going to try that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down just in 1 to 2 millimeter steps and slowly take that out. It's been pretty trying today. It's been very trying, but I'm happy I got all those bits of teeth out. They were pretty badly embedded. I'll take you over actually and show you the 3 bits that I got out. I had a couple of pieces that sort of shattered a bit when I did get them out, so that made it easier. But yeah, goodness me, one of those things. Okay, so you see there's some of those little bits of teeth that were embedded inside it. And if I leave them in there and try and cut them, all it's going to do is just, as you saw, just rips the cutter up. So yeah, so much pain for 3 little pieces. Anyway, they're out. We'll have a go at that tomorrow. Alright, I'll see you then guys. Alright guys, we're back again. It's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. I've been able to slit a full depth all the way through now. So I'm down to 10 millimeters. I've got 3.5 millimeters to go. I'm just doing it by hand with a hand wheel. You know, they say the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over and hoping for a different result. So the other two breakages occurred when I was on power feed. So I've gone with hand feed and I've reduced the depth, as I said, down to 2 millimeters. So hopefully no more breakages, as shown. I reckon that might have been calmer about having a go at Rosemary's Tuna Bake payback. Alright, I'm going to go in, have a shower and go to bed, and I'll come back tomorrow and we'll finish off that last 3.5 mil. A little bit ratty around here, it's raised up, but I can just stone that down, or I might even set these two back up in the surface grinder and just give them a lightest little lick. I've got about a 1 mil land there, so taking 0.2 off mil to 0.2 or 0.3 off that height's not going to hurt. Alright guys, well, we'll see you when we continue this saga. Rightio, so it's 11:30 the following morning after our sagas yesterday. I've got 2 more cuts I'm going to do on this, and as I said, I'm just going to hand feed these, not on a power feed. At least I can keep the feel and know if I'm having any issues. But I was thinking about how are the other ways that I could do this, considering that my other slitting saw that I wanted to use had been pre-ground and could only go a set depth. But on my grinder, when I bought it many years ago, it had this cut-off saw, and that's measuring just a tad over 1 millimeter thick. So I was thinking that if I was going to do this again, and this is paper thin, this cutter, it's only a 32nd, was to I could actually just grind that slot in, and that'd be so much easier. So anyway, one of those hindsight things, one of those things you think of when you're lying back in bed thinking, how else could I do this? Alright, so we're going to take another 2 millimeters off this. As I said last night, we'd cut through a full depth at 10 millimeters, and we didn't strike any problems, so we'll carry on. Righto, that took 1 hour and a quarter. Right, I've only got 1 more cut to do. It is pretty mentally draining. I can guarantee you there were 3 occasions when this cutter grabbed, and you could feel it starting to rattle, and I was able to back the feed off. I can guarantee I would have snapped that off on at least 3 occasions. I'm going to stick with the manual feed. It is very painful, but at least it's a lot safer. Alright, we'll set up for the next and final cut. Alright, lesson learned. That could have been a lot worse. A lot worse. It just caught my knuckle when I was using the brush. It's just caught it there. Getting a little bit tired, a little bit frustrated, you're not thinking, and that's the result. Alright, that's starting to draw a fair bit of blood. I'm going to just going to put a band-aid on that. Oh, I'll be glad when this thing's finished. Alright, we're back after a little accident. Cleaned up and bandaged up, and it's funny when you clean them up, they look a little bit worse. But that's what happens when you're starting to get a bit frustrated and you're starting to get a bit tired, and things like this happen. And I was very, very lucky that I didn't go down to the knuckle. Well, I've had a spell for about half an hour. I've had a cuppa, sit down, watched a YouTube video. Rivers Company doing some carbide insert cutting on a do-it-yourself CNC router, which is pretty interesting. Alright, let's get back into it now. I've got at least another hour of cutting on this just by hand, so I'll just get our bearings again and just get going very slowly. Righto, I'll bring you blokes back when we're nearing the end of what was going to be a very simple machining operation, but it's just turned into an absolute mongrel of a job. Alright, we'll see you soon, guys. Thank goodness that is finished. That was absolutely painful. I've never had a machining operation like that in my life. Goodness me. Alright. Well, that's done. I'm going to have a rest for the rest of the day. I'm sick of this. I'll set up probably tomorrow and we'll do the drilling and tapping for applying the pressure onto that gib. What a mess. Broken bits of slitting saw everywhere. Smashed teeth. Ripped up finger. It had everything, this thing. Alright. Yep, what more can I say? Alright guys, we'll see you next time.